Hey guys and girls, it's still blazing hot in southern Oklahoma. That's right, blazing hot in southern Oklahoma on this Sunday afternoon. How hot? Well, try 102. Now, I'm not lying, 102 degrees. I just looked at it before I walked out. Now, I do have one temperature gauge. I got about 3 or 4 of them around, stuck around outside the house, and they read inside the house. It's a great technology, all of this fantastic technology is going on. I'm a redneck. To me, that is great technology right there. It's kind of like a rain gauge. I like stuff like that. But I do have one gauge that reads a couple degrees higher than all the rest. One is reading 102. A couple of the others were only reading 100. So, but the heat index is about 8 or 10 or 12 degrees above that. So what it feels like out here is definitely over 100, no matter what rain gauge you're reading or what temperature gauge you're reading. Rain gauge is reading dry, totally 100% dry. Now, I've been getting some notes from some of you all around the country, and particularly those up north that's talking about, Jimmy, we're having 58-degree nights, and saying a lot of you having 60-degree nights, a lot of you having 75, 80-degree days. We are promised the first week of September, which is just right around the corner. The first week in September, we are promised highs in the 80s, and maybe a 90 or 2 in there. Now, when I say promise, I mean forecast. But now, let me tell you, I got to pat weather people on the back. I've got some friends that are the weather people up in Oklahoma City. 2 or 3 of them really like to fish, and are good fishermen, too. Don't just like to fish, they're good fishermen. Both girls and boys, both men and women, And I don't know, I should have called them girls and boys. How is it that, once a guy gets a little bit older, he doesn't want to be called a boy? And, I heard one guy, he said it's like calling the Mississippi River a creek, but he don't want to be called a word. But when women get to be like, say, 35, 40 years old, they call each other girls. So I'm going to say boys and girls, men and women, guys and gals, whatever. But we have some girls up here in Oklahoma City that are really good fishermen too, that are weather girls and news girls, and they know how to fish. In fact, some of them even noodle catfish, catch them with their hands. That's a good girl right there. That's my kind of lady. I promise you that for sure. But we are forecast highs in the 80s. Highs in the 80s that first week in September. We're forecast some good rain on Labor Day weekend. Quite a bit of rain, maybe even some flooding type rain. So things are turning the corner. And I got to just pat those weather people on the back, both girls and guys, because they're good. I mean, they're good. Used to sort of a guess, It didn't matter. They just picked girls that was real pretty and guys that really talked well. And the guys weren't pretty necessarily, particularly here in Oklahoma, but they were, some of them were. But the girls were all pretty. They picked for weather girls, and so that way we weren't mad at them when they messed the forecast up. But can I tell you, they've got really good. I mean, they're really good at forecasting the weather. They just amazing to me. They can forecast things like tornadoes 2 or 3 days in advance before the tornadoes ever get here, which is fantastic. But cool is coming. Cool is coming. It's coming to the south, just like it's already come to a lot of y'all up north. But I had a great week this week. I spent a lot of time this week here at the ranch. We didn't really get to fish this week. We were working, and I didn't get to fish much, but I didn't have any personal appearances this week. I did go over to the baseball weekend. I was invited over by Bobby Dennis and my friends there at the Hot Springs Chamber of Commerce, which we've done a lot of work over there for Hot Springs over the years. I was invited over there to be a part of, small part, but a part of the baseball weekend. The baseball weekend in Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's fantastic. I did a little short video just giving you little clips of some of it, which I'll throw up here on YouTube and Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to all of our YouTube channels. We got 3 of them. Make sure you subscribe to all of them. If you're a Facebook person, Jimmy Houston Outdoors, all capital letters on Facebook. But they have a baseball weekend. This is about 7 or 8 years of it they've had, and they've invited me over there, I guess, every single year, and I just got so many friends there in Hot Springs. But they invited me over again this year, and I finally had the weekend open where I could go over there, and I took my beautiful Chris over there with me. I took my daughter Sherry and her husband Jack, Dr. Jack, and they're big baseball fans as well. Jack has been, I think, in every single major league stadium in the United States. That's how big of a baseball fan he is. He has lots and lots of memorabilia. Sherry's even gone down to my house there on Lake Tenkiller and taken all of my autographed baseballs. Autographed baseballs like Sandy Koufax, Stan Musial, Mickey Mantle, on and on and on. Claude Osteen. I mean, some really great players, and she's got my baseball collection down there. We did get some balls signed by the Hall of Famers over there in Arkansas this week. My buddy Johnny Bench was there. I had dinner with Johnny and and so I had dinner with all of the guys that was over there. In fact, and we did go and we listened to all of them talk yesterday all day long. It was just absolutely fascinating. If you care anything about baseball, you got to love it. But my buddy Johnny Minch, Ted Simmons, catcher of the St. Louis Cardinals, Al Roboski, the Mad Hungarian, a pitcher. Al's about my size, you know, and he's a cool guy. Most pitchers are real tall, is the reason I say that. Robin Yount was there, a great player. Goose Gossies, which is a tall player, and Tom Pagnozzi, another catcher. So catchers was kind of we had catchers there this weekend. We had a lot on catching. And let me tell you, you know, these are guys that I watched play ball basically all of my life, pretty much all of them. And many of them are right about my age, and most of, I guess they're all younger than me. I'm not sure of that. Johnny's pretty close, but Johnny is younger than me. But I watched these guys play their entire Major League career, and I had a lot of fun watching on them. I'm a Los Angeles Dodger fan. I was a Brooklyn Dodger fan when I was a little bitty kid. But I had a really good time spending the weekend with these guys and visiting with them about baseball and listening to their stories and listening to their tales. But one of the things that I knew, because I know a lot of baseball players, is these guys are above average smart. You know what I'm saying? These are guys that are intelligent enough. They could have made a good living doing a lot of other things had God not given them the natural ability to be great baseball players, great pitchers, great catchers, great hitters, being able to be great defensive players, and then these guys took that skill that God gave them and raised it up to other levels, levels above what God gave them. But these are guys that are smart. They're real smart. I was so impressed with Ted Simmons. Ted Simmons and these guys are all pretty articulate. Even Johnny Bench. Now Johnny's like me. He's kind of an Oklahoma redneck. He's from Binger, Oklahoma. I lived in Cookson, Oklahoma. Cookson's even smaller than Binger. That's right, Cookson's smaller than Binger. But I grew up mostly at Moore, which Moore is a little bit larger than Binger. It was a lot larger than Binger now, but it was not much different than Binger, Oklahoma back then. But Johnny's a smart guy. Johnny's really a smart guy, you know, and he's a super athlete here in Oklahoma, great basketball player, great football player. He wasn't really a great football player because I don't even think they played football at Binger. He's a great golfer. He almost, decided to play a living playing golf, instead of catching a baseball and hitting a baseball. But these guys are all smart, and I was really impressed in listening to their stories about various things they did, of how intelligent they are. Because to be a top athlete in just about any sport, you've got to have a pretty goodly amount of intelligence. You got to have a lot of common sense, but you got to have a goodly amount of intelligence, because most of the games played at the top level, fishing is certainly there, you better be pretty smart or you're not going to be able to play that game very well. Physical and skills are very, very important. There's no doubt about it in fishing, just like everything else. But you got to be smart to play most sports, including fishing, at the top level. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. But I had a great time with those guys. I appreciate Bobby Dennis and all my friends over there at Hot Springs, Arkansas, for allowing me to come over there and be a small part of that. And I hope to get to be back over there again in the future, as they have that every year. And now let me tell you, they have it here toward the end of August every year. And if you're anywhere around within a couple, 200 or 300 miles of Hot Springs, Arkansas, that'd be a good place to go spend the weekend during that baseball weekend. And they've got, a baseball card show going and all kinds of baseball memorabilia and balls and jerseys, signed jerseys and pictures and all kinds of things that you can buy if you're over there, if you're a real baseball fan. But it's just a tremendous weekend. And Hot Springs is a great place to spend the weekend anyway, so it's really, really great. We got something coming up just around the corner, the Jimmy Houston Outdoors newsletter. We've got over 11,000 people receiving that newsletter now. It's an electronic newsletter. It comes by email, comes right to your telephone or your computer by email. And we send it out the first of every month. It goes out the first of every month. So September 1 is just around the corner. I think September 1 falls on a Sunday, and it's probably going to be scheduled to go out on that Sunday. I think that Kyle does that newsletter for us, and he does an incredible job. He's a great writer, and he puts together a newsletter that is so informative and so helpful for you. One where you can actually, if you want to buy some things, you've got some things in there. It's got some really good buys and coupons and discount on it. But it's a newsletter that allows you to link back to any company that's in there that we tell something about, or link back to a story or things like that. You can hit that button and it links back. It's a real complicated deal it's complicated to me. It may not be complicated to somebody that writes code and stuff like that, but it's a real complicated type newsletter, because it just allows you to do a lot of things. So if you're not receiving that newsletter, all you got to do is just go to jimmyhouston.com and sign up for that newsletter. JimmyHouston.com is a place where you can sign up, and you'll get one September 1. You'll get one September 1, which I think falls on a Sunday, so it's just right around the corner. So all you got to do is just go in there. We don't sell these these email addresses. We don't give them to anybody else. They're just so you can get that newsletter. That's just exactly what it is. So go to JimmyHouston.com. And there's a place in there where you'll be able to see where you can give us. We don't need your address or your telephone number. I guess you can give that to us if you want us to have it, but we don't need that. We just need your email address to do that. I've got a couple of appearances coming up pretty soon I want to tell you all about. One of them is Friday the 13th. That's right, Friday, September 13th at Baumgar's. Baumgar's is a farm garden store where they sell a lot of Shell Rotella. The farmers use Shell Rotella in all their tractors and their diesel trucks. Far and away, they sell more diesel oil than all the other diesel oil companies in America put together. And most of the tractors come from the factory with Shell Rotella in it. So you can buy Shell Rotella there. It'll be on a good price there. It'll be on sale, I'm sure, at Baumgar's in Ada, Oklahoma. It's only 40 miles away, so that's really, really cool. Ada, Oklahoma, Baumgar's. I'll be there with my Shell Rotella boat, my Ranger 521R, and my Ram truck from Expressway Ram. I'll be there. Those boats, we'll have them parked out front of the store. And we'll be there Friday. I don't know the hours of that. We've been working Saturday from about 10 till 2. My guess is we're probably going to work about 2 to 6 or 3 to 7 or something like that. We probably will not work through the middle of the day. We'll probably be there. We'll be there maybe an hour or two after 5 o'clock. I need to check on that this week. But you can look at Baumgar's in Ada, Oklahoma. So if you're anywhere around close, come by and visit with us there. Now, the following day, the next morning, I'm going to fly to Atlanta, and I'm going to be at the Church of God in Newnan, Georgia. Newnan, Georgia. N-E-W-N-A-N, Newnan, Georgia. It's in the Atlanta area. And I'll be there Saturday, September 14th. Saturday, September 14th, the day right after. It's a big men's event. It's going to be a great event. We're going to have a lot of fun. And I want to fly there Saturday morning and be there. I think the event starts around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You can check out the Church of God, Newnan, Georgia, N-E-W-N-A-N. If you're anywhere around close, you want to be there at that Church of God that Saturday afternoon. We're just going to have an absolutely fantastic time. Absolutely fantastic time. We probably this week, we're going to be at the ranch most of the days this week, and we probably are going to be spreading some humus oil with a big spreader. I can rent a spreader up here from Okie Rents up in Davis, Oklahoma. I can rent a big spreader that's an 8-ton spreader that we'll pull behind one of our tractors and spread that. I think we're going to spread it over some of our food plots, maybe some of our smaller food plots, as well as maybe some of the larger hay fields where we hay. We are really, really hoping to get a second cutting. I don't know if we are or not. We got that first cutting a little late. It was a good cutting. We got a lot of hay, and it was a good hay cutting. There's no doubt about it. But we haven't had any rain. We had like that 1.9 inches the other day, and that's pretty much all we've had since we cut the hay the first time. So we're putting some humus oil out there on it, and hopefully we'll get some rain over this Labor Day weekend, which is just next weekend. And hopefully we get that hay to grow up enough we can get a second cutting out of it and make a few dollars off of that to help pay the bills here on Twin Eagle Ranch and feed all the deer and animals and turkeys and everything that we've got running around here. So we'll probably be spreading some of that humus oil. You check that product out. You know, they're getting ready to drop about 6 or 8 new products on the market. One of them's called a waterless garden. One of them's called a waterless lawn. And they've got deer plot items. They've got it's just an amazing miracle product that is designed to restore the soil. Mankind has been, since the dawn of mankind, destroying the soil. And we've really done a lot to destroy the soil over the last 1,000 years or so. And especially when we started using chemical fertilizers, we started using insect sprays, and we started doing things to kill bugs and insects and things to make things grow better and faster where we had better yields, but at the same time we were putting chemicals and stuff in the air and on the tree and on our plants and in our bodies. And the Sustainable Green Team has developed products that humus oil is one of them, developed products to restore the soil and bring it back. It actually bonds hydrogen and oxygen together under the ground. That's the formula on that, combines makes H2O. We all know H2O is water. That's right. So they're creating water under the ground. We've got several experiments going here on Twin Eagle Ranch with that right now. Some of them are working fantastically. Other ones we're not showing a whole lot of difference. But I think the ones we're not showing any difference in, we didn't mix this humus oil in with our regular soil. Where we have mixed humus oil in with our regular soil, the results are amazing, absolutely amazing. Our tomato plant deal, and I'm going to look at them again Tuesday. This coming Tuesday, day after tomorrow, will be 4 weeks. I'm going to show you those differences in the tomato plants just in regular Twin Eagle soil, which is pretty good soil. and the ones in Twin Eagles ranch soil mixed with humus soil. It's amazing, those two plants. It's amazing. I get 4 plants in each, an above ground planter, basically side by side. And I've been watering the plants without the humus soil because they were about to die if I didn't. So I've been helping them along a little bit just to try to keep them alive. And but it's just it's just amazing. You'll see that. You'll see those out. We've done a deal after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and getting ready. I think that Tuesday is the 4th week. So day after tomorrow, about dark, I'm gonna try to shoot another video if I can there. And if I'm not out in the field on the tractor spreading humus soil on our food plots. So we're going to be trying to do that this week. So that's what we got planned to do this week. And we're going to be here pretty much most of the week. So that's really a good deal. That's really good. Football season kicks off for most of America. Football season already kicked off for Florida State and Georgia Tech. This kicks off for Oklahoma. This coming for Friday night. We play Temple up at Gaylord Stadium at OU on a Friday night. I think maybe it's the first time we've played Friday night football I can ever remember. We might have done it, but I can't ever remember doing it that way. But I think it's on 6:30 on ESPN, same network that we run Jimmy Houston Outdoors on Saturday mornings. And so be sure and catch that Oklahoma Temple game. We got a brand new quarterback. We've had great quarterbacks there over the years, several Heisman Trophy winners the last several years, made several playoffs in the top 4. Going to have a hard time this year, even with 12. We'd have made it last year with the top 12, but it's going to be hard to make it this year. I think we got the 2nd toughest schedule in the nation. And we're in the SEC. They moved Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on Texas winning the SEC. And everybody else is betting on Georgia, but they don't have to play Texas every year like we do. We did beat Texas last year. I think they only lost 2 games last year, and that was one of them. But we're going to have a hard time beating them this year, especially if they have a quarterback that's in his 3rd or 4th year, and we got a brand new quarterback. But by the time we play him in October, our quarterback's going to have a couple, 2 or 3 games under his belt, and he might be a little bit better. But good luck to all you football fans out there. You know, everybody's got a favorite college that they root for. Johnny Bench told me, he said, you know, Jimmy, I didn't go to college, so I just root for whichever Oklahoma team. But he's pretty much an Oklahoma Sooner. But he said, whichever one's the highest in the standing, because I want him to go to a bowl game, because I love bowl games. And so Johnny's pretty much a Sooner, though. And I think one of the reasons is a lot of his real good friends, like Barry Switzer and Toby Keith and me, you know, a lot of his friends here at Oklahoma, and I can just name like hundreds of friends he's got, thousands of friends that Johnny Bench has got here in Oklahoma. Most of them are Sooner fans. So I think Johnny probably leans a little bit towards Sooners, but he's a nice guy. He didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so he probably roots for Tulsa and Oklahoma State too when they're having good seasons. Tulsa probably gets more rooters than any college here in Oklahoma, because all the people for Oklahoma University roots for Tulsa Hurricanes. All the people for Oklahoma State roots for the Tulsa Hurricanes, except when we play them. And so they've really got the whole state of Oklahoma cheering for them. And I think they're going to have a pretty good team as well. Oklahoma State's picked to finish 1st or 2nd in the Big 12. The expanded Big 12 that without Oklahoma and Texas this year is going to be a totally different conference. But they've added some other teams, so it's going to be fun to watch as well. I wanted to end this thing right here by just talking about one little thing. As I was listening to Chopper McCartney preach at Midway Hills Baptist this morning, he mentioned one thing. He's preaching in Psalms and talking about how, you know, King David, who wrote most of Psalms, King David was talking about getting his soul right with God and keeping his soul right with God. And that's what we've got. That's what our soul, our spirit's what will go to heaven. This body, it stays right here. Our soul, we get a new body when we go to heaven. And we don't get this old crickety, worn-out body that we've been destroying for the last 80 years. Some of us have been destroying it for the last 80 years. But some of y'all more. But we get a brand new body. But our soul, our spirit, you know, is what's going to go to heaven. And he was talking about, King David talking about, bless the Lord, oh my soul. He was blessing and praising God with his soul, with his spirit, with all he had. And that's just the way I praise the Lord too, with all I got. I mean, I get in a worship service, I just get so carried away, and I just can feel God and holding me tight. But during that sermon, he didn't really talk about it, but he mentioned one thing. He said, God's interested in the details. God's interested in the details. And I thought, wow, that's exactly right. You know, we worry day by day about details and everything that we're concerned with, whether it's our health, our finances, our family situation, our job, our friends, you know, what we're going to do this coming weekend. How come we can't do what we want to do this coming weekend? Details, the weather, I mean, everything in the world. We're concerned about the details. Details is what we run our life. Some of us call it logistics. It's the logistics of how in the world do you do an appearance on Friday and then get on an airplane at 5 o'clock Saturday morning and then go to Georgia and do another one and then get back home Saturday night and be in church on Sunday. I mean, how do you do all that? That's, I call that logistics, but that's details. Our life sometimes is consumed with details, and we take a lot of the big things. Like when we lost a major sponsor this year at the end of this year, and we really needed that major sponsor to be replaced. It hurt us in a big way. I mean, it hurt us so much that we might not have been able to keep the television show going even after 47 years in television. We might not have been able to keep it going. And I've talked to you before about the fact that when we found out that we were not going to be able to renew that sponsor, and the great thing about it, they weren't mad at us. They didn't tell us we did a lousy job, or in fact, they said we did a great job, an excellent job for them. But they changed personnel at the top level, a new CEO and a new COO, new co-presidents of that company, and they were just going in some different directions, and they weren't really as intrigued or excited about the outdoors as some of the earlier leaders in that company was, and it's a great company, it's a tremendous company, and but when I found out we weren't going to keep that sponsorship, and we just about had to keep it in order to pay our bills to keep the television show going. And I just laid that at the foot of the cross and told God, here's my problem. I'm letting you handle it. It's a big, major problem. And he brought in a company we've been talking about quite a bit, the Sustainable Green Team, which, again, like I've said, if this product does half of what they says it'll do, it's going to change the world. It's going to change the world. These products, many products they're coming out with, not just one, but the various products they're having. And we're going to have several of them on the market pretty soon. But they come in and stepped in there and took over that sponsorship that we lose at the end of the year. And so, that big major problem that I have, I laid it at God's feet and said, I'm not going to worry about this. I'm going to let you handle it. And that's exactly what he did. And I can tell you story after story after story how throughout my life he's done that. And it's just absolutely amazing. But, sometimes all of these little problems and little details that we work in our life, I don't involve God in. I don't pray about them. I don't talk to God about them. I don't tell him, God, this is a tough schedule. How in the world am I going to do that? Now, I do pray and ask God to give me energy, to give me strength, to give me patience, to give me good health, to give me safety and all of this traveling and running around that we do. But the details, I think, surely I can handle the details. And Sherry is super smart. Jeanette, works at our travel agency, super smart. And they know all about all these airplanes and hotels and all this, and they can just, they can figure it all out. They handle all those details, those logistics. But Chopper's mentioned one thing in that sermon this morning and talking about, he said, God's interested in the details. And I thought, wow, why am I worrying about the interest? If God is interested in the details of my life, whatever's going on in my life, why am I fretting about them? Why am I concerned or worried about them? And I know you got a lot of going on in your life right now. And whatever you got going on, whether it's a health situation like we have with Chris, or it's a financial situation like we have with the television show, it's not completely solved, but it's getting closer. But God's going to solve it, and just like he's going to solve Chris's health situation. Or if it's a family problem, or if it's a job problem, or a friend problem, or whatever, a legal problem, whatever it may be, and you've laid that at the foot of the cross. You've given it to God and said, okay, God, I'm going to give you this problem, I'm counting on you to work it out. If you are still concerned with all the details, I believe that what Chopper said is right. I believe God is concerned with the details. I believe God is working on the details. I believe God is working on all the little details, some of them we don't even know about, that will cause us to come out the other end of this situation better. Now, does that mean we're not going to have any bad things happen to us? Absolutely not. We're going to have bad things because the devil is running around every day trying to put bad things in your path and my path. So we're going to have bad things. But if we let God handle the details, if we let God take care of the details, I mean, we don't have to worry about them quite so much. We still have to make them all work, but God will direct our steps. He will direct our decisions. He will direct our minds. He'll direct Sherry's steps and Jeanette's step in setting me out the right details to make sure that I'm where I'm supposed to be at the right place at the right time and get there on time. God will take care of the details. God is concerned about the details in your life. And when Chopper said that, I thought, wow, I'm concerned about details every day of my life, seems like. I need to quit being so concerned about those decals, or not being concerned about them at all, probably, and just laying those at the foot of the cross as well. If God is concerned about the details, I know one thing, absolutely, 100% for sure. God is better at those details than I am. And God knows details that I need worked out that I don't even know about. There's surprises I don't even know about. But God is working behind the scenes to take care of all those details so everything works smoothly in my life. That's the kind of God I serve. So don't worry about the details. Whatever details you have that you're fretting about or worrying about, in whatever situation you might be in, give them to God. Give them to God. Lay them at the foot of the cross. Lay them at the foot of the cross and say, Lord, I'm not losing any sleep over this tonight. Guys and girls, go out there and have you a great one. Fall is on the way. I'm so excited. I love it living in Oklahoma where we have all 4 seasons, dramatically have all 4 seasons. I love fall. These leaves are beautiful and green. They're going to turn beautiful colors pretty soon as the master painter starts painting the world. And they're already changing, you know, up in the Northeast, already changing. And the cooler weather's going to get here. The fish are going to start biting good. It's just an absolutely great time to be alive. God wants to handle the details in your situation and mine. I'm going to let him. Guys and girls, have you a great one out there. And remember, I sure do love you.